I bet I could make you fall in love with me in 30 days, Justin said. We were sprawled on his couch playing video games like we did every Friday night, empty pizza box on the coffee table between us. Before I could even ask if I'd heard him right, he continued, I'm completely serious. Give me 30 days. Those words hung in his living room as I sat there cross-legged, my controller forgotten in my lap. Justin, my friend since sophomore year, the guy I played co-op games with every week, who I'd honestly never thought about romantically until this exact moment. Where is this coming from? I asked, genuinely confused. I've liked you for a while now, and I think if you gave me a real chance, you might like me too. I studied his face. He wasn't drunk, wasn't joking. He was completely serious about this ridiculous bet. If it doesn't work, we stay friends. No weirdness, I promise. And if it does work, then we date, for real. The thing was, I wasn't opposed to it. Justin was cute, funny, reliable. I just never let myself think about him that way. But sitting there, watching him wait for my answer with that determined look on his face, I was intrigued. I don't dislike you, I said carefully. I just don't have feelings for you right now. That's the whole point. I grabbed my phone and pulled up my calendar. Alright, this is probably crazy, but I'm curious. 30 days. I created an event titled Day 1 for tomorrow. Day 1, he showed up at my apartment with breakfast. Bagels from the place I mentioned loving once. We ate them while watching The Office reruns like always, but now I wondered if this counted as a date. Day 3, he taught himself how to play my favorite song on guitar and sent me a video. He messed up the chorus but kept going. Usually when Justin sent me videos, they were random memes or funny clips. This was different. This was him trying, really trying, putting himself out there in a way I hadn't expected. Day 7, he created a scavenger hunt around campus with inside jokes from our friendship. Each clue led to a small gift, my favorite candy, a book I'd mentioned wanting, a coffee gift card. The final clue brought me back to where we'd first met in the library sophomore year. Day 10, he cooked me dinner. The smoke alarm went off twice, but the pasta was actually decent. We laughed about it for an hour, and I found myself noticing how his eyes crinkled when he really laughed. Day 15, he organized a game night with our friends, but made sure all my favorite games were mysteriously chosen. He partnered with someone else, but kept looking at me throughout the night. Later, when everyone was leaving, he stayed to help clean up without being asked. We ended up talking until 2 a.m. about nothing important, but I didn't want him to leave. That should have been my first real clue. Now that I knew he liked me, it was easier to think of him in a romantic way. Day 17, he remembered my job interview without me reminding him, sent an encouraging text before and sunflowers after when I got it. I kept them on my nightstand and smiled every time I saw them. Day 20 changed everything. I had to work a double shift after my coworker called out sick. I was so exhausted and frustrated, and I just wanted to talk to Justin. So I sent a rant at midnight, not expecting a response. 20 minutes later, he showed up with takeout from my favorite Thai place and waited in his car so I could eat during my break. He didn't make it romantic, didn't ask credit for the day. He just listened while I vented about terrible customers and my aching feet. When I went back inside, I watched him drive away and finally admitted to myself what was happening. Days 21 through 29, he continued with small gestures, but they felt different, like he was pulling back. Maybe he could tell I was acting weird around him now, laughing too hard at his jokes, finding excuses to hang out longer. On day 29, when we had lunch, he kept checking his phone like he was counting down to something ending. Day 30 came too fast. Saturday afternoon, he texted asking if he could come over. Not our usual, I'm coming over, but can I? When he arrived, he stood in my doorway instead of walking in. So tomorrow makes 31 days, he said, looking at his shoes. My heart dropped. You're giving up? I'm not giving up. The bet's over. You don't have to pretend anymore. Who's pretending? He finally looked up. You've been acting strange for over a week. I get it. This was weird. We can go back. I fell for you on day 20. The words just tumbled out. He stared at me like I'd spoken another language. When you brought me Thai food, that's when I knew. Then why didn't you? Because I needed to be sure you weren't just trying to win a bet. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. So you kept going even when you thought you were losing. I grabbed his hand. That's how I knew it was real.